This is the Ask a Photographer podcast, answering your photography-related questions about general photography, workflow, editing, business, and marketing. To submit a question, go to biblino.com/ask. Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from biblino.com. Today's question comes from Nicole, and Nicole's asking, what photo equipment do I need for event photography? I prefer not to specialize and want to expose myself to lots of different types of photography, such as corporate events, christenings, bar mitzvahs, weddings, and sports. What types of cameras, lenses, and other equipment do I need to be a successful event photographer? Hey Nicole, thanks for your question. So just to start off with a basic kit. With a basic kit, you want at least 2 camera bodies, 2 lenses, and 1 flash. That will get you through 99% of what you want as a event photographer. Now, having a short lens and a long lens, will cover the focal range. Having 2 camera bodies will help you have a bit of a backup as well, so if one fails. So it's double duty there. And having a flash will help you when it comes to low light situations, which a lot of the events that you listed here are mostly indoors as well. So that will help you not only to illuminate your subjects, but also using the onboard IR, which is a little red thing in front of your off-camera flash. On your speed light, helps to focus, and you can actually set that as a without to fire the flash, but using the IR to focus, which does help, and it's a pretty cool trick too. So I believe if you just read your manual, you'll be able to work that out. Now, in regards to lens choice, a lot of the events that you've listed here are indoors, and having a 2.8 lens as a minimum is definitely ideal. I know it costs more, they're probably a little bit heavier, but it's one of those things that if you're serious about it and you want to get into it, it will help you. Of course you can get faster lenses, that 1.2s, 1.4s, that could be down the track when you want to spend a little bit more money and want to go down the path of using prime lenses. Now, your event is going to dictate your lens choice. And doing a lot of these events, you're going to be doing wide group shots, or you're going to be photographing from a distance because you don't want to get in people's way. So then something like a 24-70 and a 70-200 as a good starting point will get you going. Now, you did mention sports. Well, sports is a little bit different. If you're doing team photos, then 24-70 can help you there. If you're doing headshots, 70-100. If you're doing on-field action, then 200 mils is a minimum. And, so definitely 200, 300, or even 400 and 600 is definitely going to help you there. But if you're not doing that on a regular basis, then just getting a 24-70 and a 70-200 as a bare minimum to 2.8 lenses will get you going there. Now, lighting equipment, having a speed light that attaches to the top of your flash is definitely a good starting point. Having a second one just in case, it could be just like a lower end model, is good to have as a backup. The idea of these flashes is, of course, to help us with illuminating objects in dark halls and that type of thing. They work really well. But what I've noticed is that if you're using full power, they do take a little time to cycle, and that's when using battery packs, which you can buy externally, and they plug into the side of the actual flashes, help you big time. So I believe my Canon flash, it takes I think 4 to 6 seconds to recycle on full power by putting an external battery pack, which has 8 AA's, including the 4 that are already inside the flash. It cycles within 2 seconds. So that helps if I'm taking group photos, and I usually take 1 or 2 photos and just go bang bang, and that can stop people blinking and just get 2 quick photos, and you're done, and you move on to the next set of people. And that works extremely well for me, and they're quite relatively inexpensive. You can get aftermarket, or you can get the original branded ones. Just be wary with the aftermarket ones; they could catch fire. I've been told, but I do currently use an aftermarket one that I got off eBay and has worked quite a while. The build quality is not the best. It is a bit flimsy, and probably after I think 5 or 6 years I've had it now, probably due for an upgrade to something else. So just keep that in mind. Other lighting equipment could also be, it's actually the receiver to your off-camera flash. You can, of course, have a light stand with an umbrella. And this is when if you're doing a family portraits in a very, very dark hall and you can't bounce the light off the roof because it's high, and it's dark, like the roof is like, say, a black, and it's not going to do anything for you, then having one light stand that you can put the flash on and use the off-camera receiver, or remote receiver I should say, remote trigger that goes onto the top of the camera to fire the flash, and having an umbrella which will spread the light and illuminate your subject that way. You can do that. I mean, I've probably only used that like once or twice in the 5 years that I've been photographing weddings. So I don't know if it's one of those things that's nice to have, and if you do have it in your boot, you'll never use it. So yeah, and with the lighting equipment, you can get away with just having the external flash. Onboard flash is I think, if you're taken seriously, just like backup equipment, if you're going to be charging people, you just do it properly and get an external flash, preferably from the actual manufacturers themselves. One thing I did not mention was the brand of cameras or equipment. Like, that really doesn't matter. If you're already invested in a brand, just stick with that. One thing you may want to think about is full frame or a crop frame. Full frame is going to give you more coverage, and when it's in tight spots, like, if you're doing, weddings and people are getting ready and it's in a small room, then, having a wide angle lens with a full frame will get more in the picture. If you're doing sports like on-field action, having a crop frame camera can help you. I mean, still use a full frame if you want, but crop frame will give you a little, crop sensor camera will give you a little bit more distance, which could help you. Just picking a brand that you're comfortable with, or even a friend has, so you can borrow lenses, is one way to start and pick a camera brand. But I won't say any particular one's better because they're all very good these days. Camera straps is one thing that a lot of people don't think about, but event photography, you're working for long hours on your feet, and having good camera straps helps. There's cameras harnesses. I use the Holdfast harness. It's made out of leather, and you can put 2 cameras on that, and they basically have these little links that you put to the bottom of the camera, or if you've got a 7200 on the collar mount. They just hang off you, and it helps your back, helps with posture. But you've got a few kilos on you, so it's not going to be, you're not going to have the best posture, especially towards the end of the night. But I have noticed that when I don't use my harness, and when I don't use it, it's my back the next day, next 2-3 days, in fact, it's just, I feel like an old man. So that's just something to take into account, Nicole. Having a good, especially if you've got 2 cameras working at the same time, one on each shoulder, having a harness. I think there's several other brands. There's the R-strap I've used. I didn't really like. It was just a thing across the chest. It just didn't work for me. There's several other. There's holsters where you can have the links at the bottom of your cameras, and they just holster onto your. There's a belt, and they holster onto that. I think it's called the Spider holster, I think. You just got to try these things and see what works for you. Now, bags, just to finish off with bags, you've got to carry all your stuff. And I find having a little wheelie bag, if you've got a bit of equipment, especially if you've got, say, 2 cameras, and then you've got a third one in your bag if it's a backup, or if you've got several other lenses, or maybe, a few flashes and batteries, that type of thing. Having a wheelie bag saves your back. If you've only got a little bit of equipment, a backpack is fine, and then obviously you take it off and store it somewhere. The same thing applies with a wheelie bag. I use the ThinkTank bags. I also use Low Pro as well. But with the ThinkTank bags, I like how the bag has a little wire which has a lock, and I can just fix it to a table or something. No one's going to steal it, and the bag itself has a lock itself. So yeah, it doesn't stop people from using bolt cutters, but if you make it harder for them, it's it's better for you. Also, I do use a lens bag as well. So if I've just got one camera and I've either got the second body in the bag, or I've got, say, one camera and a flash and one other lens in this little lens bag, that's also made by ThinkTank, and that works quite well. It just, if you load up too much and you're on your feet for a long time, it can hurt your shoulders. But having proper camera straps and using a camera harness will help you with that. And just to touch on batteries, they're cheap. You should just buy stacks of them. And the Eneloop brand is really good. They're made by Sanyo. When you do a fully charge and you leave them in storage, they don't lose all their charge like some other batteries. They only lose like 20-30%, which is excellent, especially if you forget to charge your batteries. There you go, Nicole. I hope that helps you, and thanks for submitting your question. If you have a question that you'd like featured on the show, go to biblino.com/ask to submit your question. I'd love to hear what you think of the show by going to iTunes or Stitcher and giving me a review and a rating. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notifications of new episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, get out and take more photos. Oh, look, it's a cat in front of a sunset.